Alright, what's going on, people? Roadmap here, and today we're gonna do a quick post-fight analysis of Inoue versus Butler. Let's get straight to the point. Apologies for the absence, but now I'm back, and I'm gonna be planning on posting a lot of content in the next couple of days, okay? So, first of all, I gotta give it to Butler, man. I mean, the guy, although he was running the whole time, just to survive 11 rounds against Inoue, even when you're running, even when you're on the bicycle, it's really hard to survive 11 rounds against Inoue. And how did he do it? First of all, he was constantly changing his angles, okay? He was not moving side to side at a consistent rate or at a consistent pace. He wasn't moving in the same rhythm. He was actually pivoting away from the ropes. He was facing Inoue 1 second, and then the next second he'll pivot away. And he was turning. He was always using different angles. He wasn't just backpedaling, in a predictable motion. Secondly, he knew how to move left and right, man. A lot of people, they just know how to circle left. A lot of people, they only know how to circle right. The guy knows how to circle left and circle right, and to attack both ways, A lot of people, when they fight, they only know how to punch when they're circling to their left side. If you're a southpaw, you only know how to punch when you're circling to your right. That's the more natural direction to go to. But Butler knows how to attack on both sides, and that's what I gotta give to him. And then thirdly, I gotta give it to, Butler for having the stamina to keep up that pace. A lot of people, they know how to move laterally for, let's say, 5 to 6 rounds, and then after that, their legs will be gone, their footwork will be gone, but this guy knew how to move laterally for 11 rounds, okay? So, I want to give my praise to Butler for surviving. However, I did not appreciate the fact that he did not punch. I did not appreciate the fact that he did not engage, and I also did not appreciate the fact that he didn't even come there to try and score points, which, obviously, if he tried to, I think he could have done it, because there were some moments where he was able to land punches on Inoue, and Inoue was giving him the chance. However, I think he was a little too afraid to get knocked out. I mean, the same thing happened to Maloney. He committed, and then he got caught with a counter right hand. And I think Butler learned from that fight, and then he decided not to commit for this one. But when you saw him commit, he was actually landing some shots. So it was kind of confusing to really see this happening. To see Butler not throwing. So now let's move to Inoue. What did I think of Inoue? First of all, man, it was just sharper Inoue. This was an Inoue who knew how to roll punches, slip punches. This was an Inoue who knew how to switch stances. Now look, I've seen some older footage of Inoue toying around during sparring, during his training, but we never really saw him do it in fights. And the reason why is because I think he just doesn't want to take the risk. He just doesn't want to do those dumb things. But for this one, he was able to get away with it. You saw him shuffling his feet. You saw him dropping his hands. You saw him even putting his hands behind his back. So he got away with a lot of stuff that he wouldn't have gotten away with in his previous fights. He wouldn't have gotten away with that same shit against Donato, and he wouldn't have gotten away with that same shit, against his previous opponents. But for this one, I think Butler really posed no threat to him, so he decided to do those fancy shit. And I gotta admit, man, it's entertaining. However, I don't recommend him doing that, against a guy like Fulton. Now, finally, before we end this analysis, I want to give you guys my quick opinion on Inoue versus Fulton. Look, man, I'm still rooting for Fulton. I know a lot of you motherfuckers will agree with me, or a lot of you motherfuckers will disagree with me. I don't really care. First of all, Fulton is not gonna be as gun-shy as Butler, in my opinion. He has that pot shot skills, he has pot shotting skills in order to keep up with Inoue, and to also defend himself in the process. Number 2, he doesn't have the high guard of Butler, okay? So it's not gonna be a punching bag all day. He doesn't rely on his blocks, he actually relies on his footwork and his distance management, Whereas Butler, you see him, he relies mostly on his footwork and his blocking. He doesn't have a lot of head movement, and he doesn't have good counterpunching skills, unlike Fulton. So I already made a video on this, but if you want me to make a pre-fight analysis on Fulton versus Inoue, although it hasn't been official yet, just comment down below, and I'll gladly do that. Me personally, at the moment, I am favoring Fulton, but again, I appreciate this fight of Inoue. He showed a lot of new skills. Well, it's not new, but it's definitely, he just didn't show it. I think he already had his skills before, but he just kept it a secret. He didn't use it because he didn't want to do any of these dumb things. I wouldn't even call it dumb. I would just say it's unnecessary. Switching his feet, dropping his hands, and doing all of those fancy shit. It's unnecessary, but it's not necessarily bad, or it's not necessarily dumb to do those things. If you can get away with it, go ahead. So that's it. I think Inoue really did a good job for this fight. Butler was a little bit, I was a little disappointed with Butler. Also, I would say that Butler would have done better if he decided to let his hands go. But again, the result has been out. Yeah, even if it went the distance, I still think Inoue would win, just on the grounds of him being busier than Butler. So that was it. Inoue versus Fulton. Let's watch out for that fight. I'd go with my boy Fulton. Okay, I'd go with I'd go with the guy Fulton, and yeah, I think Fulton can win via decision against Inoue. But Inoue has been improving drastically. So Fulton, you gotta watch that fight and you gotta train. All right, so that's it. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.